Hello, welcome to Thor Talk, the show all about Marvel's resident God of Thunder. On this episode of Thor Talk, we're going to be ranking the most powerful versions of Thor, and for a video this big, I brought on some help to put this list together. So for the first Thor Talk collab ever, please welcome Fernando Comics.
Hey everyone, this is Fernando Comics, and I wanted to give you a big thank you for tuning in. My friend Thor Talk and I came up with this list together, but he's really the one who put the work into making a great video. So please give him a big thank you after you're done watching. And let us know what you think of the list. We put some thought into it, and we came up to a pretty good consensus, I would say. And swing by my channel too for all sorts of stuff that's coming up. Alright guys, I'll let you get back to the video. Thank you very much for watching. Alright, we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Fernando. Now let's begin on Thor Talk.
I am Thor the Thunderer, son of Odin, prince of Asgard, and this world is under my protection.
For the record, this list will mostly be focusing on versions of Thor that are from the main Marvel universe, with no versions of Thor that are from other universes like Ultimate Thor and MCU Thor. With that out of the way, let's begin with number 10, Young Thor and the Unworthy Thor. We're starting off this list with a tie because the two are remarkably similar. When Thor was young and had not yet proven himself worthy of Mjolnir, he used the axe Jarnbjorn. Young Thor punched a Hulk-like Viking completely through the earth. He made it rain fire on a planet that was so barren that 3 storm goddesses and a rain god couldn't make it rain on that planet for centuries. He killed Apocalypse's 4 horsemen and fought Gore the God Butcher inside a star. Later, when Thor became unworthy of Mjolnir, he again started using Jarnbjorn. The unworthy Thor managed to defeat Proxima Midnight, Black Swan, and Hela with one mighty blow. He fought and took attacks from the Beyonders as well. The reason why both versions of Thor are not higher on the list is because, despite their might, not having a hammer means they don't have access to many of the abilities that others on this list have. Number 9. Golden Thor. When Mjolnir was destroyed, Thor had several replacement hammers forged, and used them to fight Malekith's forces as they waged the War of the Realms. Golden Thor defeated one of the most powerful versions of Juggernaut. He created a storm that covered the entire planet and allowed him to fight in multiple battles on Earth at the same time. He easily defeated hundreds of battle-hardened angels and fought countless giants for hours. He's not higher on this list for a few reasons. Firstly, even though he has many different hammers, none of them are even close to Mjolnir and are often quickly destroyed. Secondly, his strength and durability seem to have gone down a good deal, as he was nearly killed by the cold from the blood of Ymir and was held back by Ursa Major. Number 8. Thor. When Thor and several other heroes were hit by the cathexis ray, they turned into hulked-out heroes. Thor grew in size, his skin turned blue, and he became covered in lightning. Thor quickly defeated Spider-Hulk, a hulked-out version of Spider-Man. He easily overwhelmed the Red Hulk and defeated several hulked-out soldiers. What holds this hulked-out Thunder God back from being higher on the list is while his strength and durability do seem to have increased, his intelligence and versatility have massively decreased. He can be easily distracted and can't even pronounce the name of his hammer. He also seems to be so focused on smashing things that he doesn't think to use most of his abilities. Number 7. The Mighty Thor. This is Thor as he has typically appeared across more than 50 years of comics, and over those many years he's done plenty of impressive things. He has battled Zeus for months without stopping. He drove back Glory, who is 10,000 gods in one being. His lightning was strong enough to hurt and stun Amatsu Mikaboshi, who had just wiped out more than 98% of the multiverse. He's defeated the Hulk, Namor, Silver Surfer, Black Bolt, and more. The reason he is not at the top is simply because the Thors higher on the list have everything that he has, and something more. Number 6. Destroyer Thor. When Thor's body was ravaged during a battle with the Midgard Serpent, the Destroyer attempted to absorb Thor's life force, but Thor overcame the Destroyer and took control of the armor. He picked up Mjolnir and quickly became one of the most powerful beings ever to wield the awesome might of the Destroyer. He immediately went to Hell, where he ravaged its armies and laid waste to the realm. Despite the fact that Hela is at her most powerful in her own realm, she could do nothing but flee for her life as Destroyer Thor pursued her. He can fire bolts of etheric plasma and elemental transmutation, both of which are capable of instantly killing Hela at her most powerful. The reason why he's not higher on the list is because despite his incredible power, he still has one glaring weakness. While Thor's soul controls the Destroyer, his body lays dormant, and if you kill his body, then you kill Destroyer Thor. Plus, the Destroyer has been outright defeated and destroyed when it was in the possession of other users. Number 5. Old King Thor. Billions of years into the future, Thor still rules as King of Asgard. Armed with the Odin Force, which was later renamed to the Thor Force, he protects what remains of a dying universe. He blasted Gorr the God Butcher light years away. He threw an entire planet into a black hole. He was also mostly unfazed by a punch with the force of 1 billion supernovas. He was punched through the Earth and then the Moon, and he was just upset that the Moon was broken. The reason why he's not higher on the list is because while having the Thor Force does make him insanely powerful, he spent 900 years not using it, so the Thor Force is faded within him, unlike the next Thor on this list. Number 4. Lord Thor. With Odin dead, Thor became King of Asgard and inherited the Odin Force. Eventually, things went awry and he ended up ruling Earth, but he eventually realized the error of his ways and went back in time and undid his mistakes. When Lord Thor first embraced the Odin Force, he reconstructed the moon on a molecular level after it was destroyed. He defeated a Dasak-powered destroyer. Dasak's power is amplified by the souls of the gods he has killed, and he has killed entire pantheons of gods. He also cannot be harmed by attacks that come from a god, so Thor shouldn't have been able to harm him at all. Lord Thor can also completely stop time and wipe beings from existence. The reason why Lord Thor is not higher is because each of the Thors higher on this list have both the Odin Force and something else that is just as powerful. Number 3. Necro King Thor. When old King Thor was defeated by Galactus, he turned to the Necro Sword, the weapon used by Gorr the God Butcher, and he became Necro King Thor. The Necro Sword is an extremely deadly weapon. It was used by Gorr the God Butcher to slaughter entire pantheons of gods, despite the fact that Gorr by himself is not much stronger than a human. Necro King Thor easily defeated a fed Galactus and could have killed him. The reason that he's not higher on the list is that the Necro Sword can be just as dangerous to the person using it. If it's not quickly purged from the system of the person using it, then it can kill them or drive them insane. The Necro Sword can also be quite treacherous, and it's not afraid to switch hosts if its current host is injured. Number 2. Phoenix King Thor. When old King Thor and Phoenix Force Wolverine found themselves up against a foe they couldn't beat, the Phoenix Force merged with Thor, and he became Phoenix King Thor. The Phoenix Force is an immortal manifestation of the prime universal force of life. Whereas the Necro Sword is treacherous, the Phoenix Force has a particular fondness for Thor, and apparently had loved him. This connection served Thor well as he fought one of the most powerful beings in the universe, Dr. Doom. Doom, in the far future, had taken the Iron Fist, the Spirit of Vengeance, and the Starbrand. The Starbrand on its own is powerful enough to kill a Beyonder. Phoenix King Thor took the extremely powerful Doom into the earth and fought him for years. Generations had passed as they fought, and no human alive had experienced a moment when the earth wasn't shaking from the battle between Thor and Doom. Eventually, Thor emerged victorious, killing Doom despite his power. The reason why Phoenix King Thor is not on the top of the list is no fault of his own. There is simply one Thor so mighty that he stands above them all. Number 1. Rune King Thor. When Ragnarok approached, Thor, the King of Asgard, sought out a way to stop it. His quest led him to the Well of Mimir, where he sacrificed both of his eyes for wisdom. Then he died when he hung himself on Yggdrasil to gain knowledge of the runes. And then he was reborn as Rune King Thor. Rune King Thor naturally has shields all around him that can block all of Mangog's attacks and turn several Uru weapons into wooden clubs. He easily destroyed a weakened Mangog and broke down dimensional barriers separating realms. Through his sacrifices, he gained knowledge of the past, present, and future, making him as close to omniscient as any god of Asgard is going to get. When he died to gain knowledge of the runes, he used the runes to simply bring himself back, defying death itself. Most impressively, he ended the cycle of Ragnarok. Celestial beings called those who sit above in shadow fed off of a cycle of death and rebirth called Ragnarok. They are the gods of the gods. They were able to survive the destruction of the multiverse, and Loki even theorized that they might be Beyonders. Yet when Rune King Thor threatened to end the cycle of Ragnarok and cut off their source of sustenance, all they could do was attempt to bargain with him, offering him a chance to join them. Thor did not accept their offer. The reason Rune King Thor is at the top is because despite the high stakes and powerful enemies, he was never challenged or threatened. Phoenix King Thor had to fight Doom for generations before he found victory. Necro King Thor had to get rid of the Necro Sword as soon as possible. Destroyer Thor had to protect his body, but Rune King Thor was always in control. After he awoke, he seemed to end the Ragnarok cycle in what appeared to be under an hour. To put that into perspective, for billions of years, multiple versions of Odin, a character who is arguably more powerful than most of the Thors on this list, desperately did everything they could to end the Ragnarok cycle, and they failed again, and again, and again. During battles, Odin has shattered galaxies and reignited stars, but he could not stop Ragnarok or those who sit above in shadow. Rune King Thor awoke and quickly ended the cycle of Ragnarok. And then, after his work was done, he began the slumber of the gods. Now I'm sure some fans will notice a few versions of Thor not present on this list, like post-Ragnarok Odin Force Thor and Blood and Thunder Thor. We did consider these along with several others, but ultimately decided not to include them on this list for a few reasons, whether it be lack of feats, not being different enough to qualify as a new version, or just to make the list a little more interesting. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them in the comments below.
Well, that wraps that up. I hope you enjoyed our list, and once again, give a big appreciative thumbs up to my man Thor Talk, and come by on my end and say hello too. We'll have more good stuff up for you guys soon, alright? Alright, see ya.
Well, that's all for this episode of Thor Talk. Special thanks to Fernando Comics for collaborating with me on this video. If you haven't already, go check out his channel. I've been a fan of his for many years. Also, if you want to support Thor Talk, then you can simply subscribe. All art and video is owned by its respected companies, and I own none of it. With that said, see you next time on Thor Talk, where...
You'll be holding